You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Here's Mike Riley, takes the drop, waits and throws, and he's going deep downfield. And Darius Bowman. Oh my goodness, what a catch by Darius Bowman. You won't see many better than that. Franklin to Zylstra, touchdown Eskimos. Pressure's coming. Oh, Levi Mitchell goes down. There's a big play for the defense. Somersaults for everybody.
Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 96 of the Eskimo Empire Podcast, brought to you by Allaire Homes. Visit allairehomes.ca, Allaire Homes on Facebook, or at Allaire Edmonton on Twitter for more information on your next build. I'm your host, Andrew, and thank you for downloading and having a listen. We have a great show for you as we will cover the CFL games from last week, another Eskimo history segment, our pick'ems for this week. We'll catch up with a few current Eskimos, and we have an amazing guest. So joining me, as always, the guru of Eskimos history, Superfan Mike.
A guru? My goodness.
I know, I'm raising you up in the ranks.
I'm going to work up my way to Raja.
That's a few weeks, maybe after episode 100.
There we go.
Okay.
Now we're talking.
So we had kind of a fun football weekend. I know we talked about it on Periscope, but not a bad thing to spend close to 8 hours watching football.
Over 9.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
3 games over 3 hours each.
Good times go well.
It was a lot of fun.
It was, yes. And a couple of good CFL games, but then, of course, we watched that classic, Argos and Eskimos in 93.
Yeah, the season opener in 93. First game after the Tracy Ham trade that sent 8 of our guys to Toronto, and they sent 8 guys back.
Yeah. That's
by the time they opened the season, they had lost 6 of them already.
Yeah, so. And I think we counted that every guy in the trade that came to us had some form of a play in that game.
Yes,
yeah, that was pretty wild.
For some reason, Toronto fans were mad at us for a while.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well,
you know what
we paid him back with Ricky.
Exactly. Yeah, 2011. You're welcome. All right. Well, that was good. Now, the other cool thing, of course, we went to practice yesterday, and as a couple of people have seen already on our social media, we were lucky enough to get down to talk to some players on the field.
Yeah, special thanks to the Eskimos for arranging for that to happen. It was great to get out there, and anyone that hasn't been on the turf at Commonwealth, it's a really special feeling, and the fact that we were able to speak with several members of the team was very magical. And
it was kind of cool too, because we asked and ended up getting Phillip Hunt and Kwaku. So that interview is coming up before too long here. But then while we were standing there, Bryant Mitchell came over to say hello, and we had a really nice conversation with him, which was
some
awesome.
Quarterback guy came over.
Some quarterback walked
Mike
by.
something or other.
I think that's what it is. Came across, gave us everyone a handshake, said nice to see you, and had a couple of laughs there. And then, of course, Nate Bahar coming over to say hello and meet us in person, which was actually, I thought, a really cool move on his part.
Absolutely. It was great. Again, we've talked to him on Skype, be able to talk to him face-to-face. Again, same with Kwaku Boateng and just getting to meet some of the other guys as well. Phillip Hunt has been one of those guys I've really admired since he joined the team last year, and just a lot of great insight from a veteran of our league.
Yeah, and it was awesome just to meet him and talk to him face to face. So that quiet dude, actually.
Yeah.
So it was really funny after you see him on the field.
He gets it all out on the field.
That's right. Yes, good for him. So, like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit. But I don't want to take too long here. I want to introduce our featured fan.
Yes.
So let's get right there. Now, she has been a fan of the team for many moons, and I first met her at training camp and have shared many a laugh since then. Welcome down to the Turf District, Linda.
Thanks, Andrew.
We're so glad you're here.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know there's tons of stories, but we have a few questions that we just want to ask you to kind of see all of this history that you've got going on. But let's go all the way back first. So who introduced you to football, and when did you kind of start your passion for the league?
I was born into it. My dad played for the Regina Rough Riders in the 30s when they weren't playing football. He was painting outbuildings during the Depression so that people going by on the trains would think it was prosperous there and maybe get off and live in Saskatchewan.
Nice.
I think they're still doing that, actually.
Well, quite likely, yeah. We'll have to ask Piffles.
So Dad played. Then he joined the Air Force in the 40s and did a lot of rugby and fastball and that. He met my mom in 50 in Calgary at a supply depot, and they got married. My mom was a rabid Stampeders fan.
Really?
To her dying day. And my two brothers were Air Force brats.
Okay.
So first one born in Montreal. And he was a Sam Echeverry fan. So the rule became you didn't have to pick Dad or Mom's team, but you had to have a team.
Okay.
So the oldest brother was an Echeverry fan. He started with Montreal. The second one was Tommy Joe Coffey. I came along later when they'd already retired and settled in Edmonton. So things were going pretty well when I started paying attention. So I just went with the home team. Although I do confess to a brief dalliance with Dieter Brock. It was part of the hair thing.
He was pretty dreamy.
He was pretty dreamy, and, the hair, that was a thing. So,
the Birmingham rifle.
Then I saw Kepley just smear him into the turf, and I thought, no, that's my guy. I'm back to plan A.
Well, I think that's as good a time as any to talk about those of us that have known you for any length of time, have an idea who your favorite player in football is and always will be. But for those people that don't know you so much, maybe you could share that with us.
Yeah, 42, Ken Ferguson.
Nice.
Yeah,
nicely done.
Well played.
Well played.
Yeah, no, it's Danny Ray all the way. 42s have come up my whole life, and when he stepped into that, he was mine from the get-go.
He was pretty magic from the second he stepped on that field till the day he retired. So,
yeah.
Have you ever had a chance to meet him?
I've met him several times, not that he would necessarily remember. Mostly I stand off in the background and look in awe and worship.
Yes.
And Paul might tell you that it's because of the restraining order, but I'm sure that's expired.
Oh, well, speaking of Paul, he did send a question in that we thought was important. Is it true you have a secret crush on former Calgary kicker JT Hay?
Oh,
secret?
Paul.
Not a secret, I take it? Yeah, okay.
A crush? Well, that's interesting. Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? All right. Well, see, you just made his day.
I got to know JT really well working with the Alumni Association. I've given him the title of Vice President of Beer on the Alumni Board.
Nice.
Does he get cards for that?
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
And so we have long-standing bets that we tend to pay up on the concourse at McMahon at halftime whenever I'm in town.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Crush, though. Interesting.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Paul.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, now, coming back to the current team, do you have, obviously not to the same degree as Kepley by any stretch of the imagination, but do you have favorites on the team now?
Yes. Well, I've listened to your show for a while, and I'm in competition with some of your other guests. I like Ryan King pretty much.
Okay, yeah.
What's not to like?
O'Donnell.
I know, yeah.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And Justin Sorensen.
Oh, good. Oh, a little offensive line guys there. They like getting some love. That's all right.
I've never been a quarterback girl.
No?
Other than Dieter Brock, yeah.
And that was really just a matter of months.
Yeah.
It was fleeting. It was very fleeting.
I think it's the fact that whenever Winnipeg scored, they played something from Hymn Sing. I just couldn't get behind it.
So you've obviously traveled to Grey Cup quite a bit. We've shared a lot of Grey Cup time together. It's always a great time. Mm-hmm. How long have you been going to Grey Cups?
I think I'm at 22 in a row.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
And before that, Grey Cup in my family was a big deal. Like,
sure.
You had to have a party, so it wouldn't have occurred to me to go to the games.
Sure.
In our house, you got pop and chips twice a year. One was Grey Cup and one was Christmas. Grey Cup came first, so it was like better than anything.
Yes.
So you stay home.
Yes.
And you eat crap.
Yeah. It's the way it should be.
And then Dad would teach us how to bet, and he would take all of our allowance off us.
Okay.
So, good times. family bonding.
That's what it sounds like.
So
you can't rob your own children.
I didn't really start going till 95 in Regina, and the plan was I would go with my brothers and play in the town where Dad played, and my brothers both stood me up for various reasons.
Okay.
But I vowed that as long as there was a league, I wouldn't miss another Grey Cup. So that started the consecutive appearances.
That is fantastic.
Wow, that is amazing.
And, of course, that was the one where Calgary let us down and allowed the Americans to take the
They
cup.
certainly did.
Yes.
We'll never let them forget it.
No, and nor should we.
Do you have any other favorite Grey Cup stories? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have a lot of Grey Cup stories, but most of them come from the fans in the we call the CFL Fellowship. And
right.
Not as much. I mean, there's been some pretty awesome games.
Sure.
Of course.
But most of them come from fans and the traditions that we build and our superstitions. And, yeah.
Well, I got to experience that firsthand in 2015 for the first time. And it's an amazing group of people that all love their teams, but they all love the CFL.
Yes.
And it was really that kind of embodiment of what we've talked about so many times on this show, that the CFL is about more than just your own team. And that really became evident at that Grey Cup. It was, even though we were all there celebrating our team, there was lots of other people who were celebrating with us, because it was it's the pinnacle of the year, right? So now I was told to ask you, what is a GCC and what is your favorite one of those?
Besides the actual one that named it.
Well, a GCC is a Grey Cup quote.
It totally makes sense. Yeah.
Coined by Stampeder fan Ken Smith.
Okay.
Because we were sitting around and couldn't believe how funny we all were.
I'm sure there was no alcohol involved.
Probably not, no. And Ken said, you should write this down, make a book, and call it GCC Grey Cup Quotes. and there into the book, the first entry was that. And we said, how do you spell quotes, Ken? And he got this look, he goes, I not be knowing.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
And so I've been really tracking people's dialogue since 2004 in Ottawa.
Wow. Okay. Do you have a favorite one that kind of jumps out to you?
Oh, I didn't realize I was sleeping till I woke up.
Okay.
It makes sense in its own twisted way.
I'm so dehydrated, I haven't had a leak in 15 hours. I've had about several today.
These almost sound like Chris Welby-isms sometimes.
To some degree.
Who's that guy from Toronto who never remembers us? You know that
Fire trucking
guy? We've met him like 100 times. What's his name? I have the constitution of a bendy straw.
Constitution of a bendy straw?
And so it goes.
These are fantastic. I look forward to reading more of these as they go on. But
I just love the fact that, these are all things that you've overheard often from friends and people going to it, not necessarily, like you say, things that happen in the game itself. You are also a playwright, and you've had several of your plays performed both at the Fringe locally and in other cities and in fact in other countries, other continents. One of them, the first one I got to see, was called True Grid,
right?
Which, for those that didn't get a chance to see it and maybe one day get to see it again, it's set during training camp with a group of friends watching camp, and so it definitely struck a chord with me right away. I don't want to spoil too much on the other developments in the play itself, but it was just one of those things that really resonated with me as a football fan and everyone in the audience. What was it like both writing that and seeing it performed in front of you for that first time?
That was absolutely magical. It was a high water mark for me. Plus, bridging a gap between football fans and theater goers who are not often the same people.
True.
And both getting something different out of it. But it was interesting to be able to honor many of the great fans that we've met in different cities by putting their little quirks into it. And the play really plays on the superstitions that we all have. And very little is about the team or the coaching. It's the immense personal responsibility we have as fans for their success.
That's true.
I wore the wrong jersey.
Sorry, guys.
You know.
Yeah. My fault. I picked you to win this week, and
somebody brought the cheap Walmart licorice and not the real Twizzlers. This can devastate a team.
It can ruin a season.
Yep,
exactly. Or if you have anybody named John.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's great. Well, now, the one time that you did that play was actually a benefit for the CFL alumni. Now, you've done a lot with the Alumni Association, so tell us a bit about your involvement in that.
I got invited to start working with them as they were starting to get themselves organized, and so Montreal 2008 Grey Cup was their first meeting, their inaugural meeting, and I've been with them ever since. Wow. Hector Potier from Edmonton, of course, was the president for the first number of years. It's now Brett McNeil. He's in his second year. Mm-hmm. Fantastic bomber, former Eskimo. Mm-hmm. And Leo Ezrins is the executive director.
Yes.
And they do a lot of great things, trying to keep the CFL tradition alive, the connection to alumni and through alumni, but probably most importantly is their alumni support fund, which used to be called the Dire Needs Fund, right, to help alumni and their families in difficult, particularly medical times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. That's
so important.
Absolutely, very important, and you want to support the alumni for sure. Now, I saw actually for this coming Grey Cup, they're having a thing that you can actually get a flyover either during the game or during Grey Cup week. There's it was just posted on Twitter this morning. So look up the CFL alumni, and they do have a link for that. And I think that would be a crazy experience for and you're supporting the alumni at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that will be good. Most teams have their own support funds, and they all have their own alumni associations, but it's somebody from each of those 9 teams that comes in and tries to do something, because there's a lot of guys that played for multiple teams or have landed someplace that isn't in a city where they have a place to go to affiliate.
Right.
So there's
teams that aren't around anymore, maybe.
Yeah, and the disenfranchised. Yeah, so there's a great role for them, and it is a privilege to be on their meetings every month.
I bet. All right. Well, the last question that we ask any of our featured fans as they come in, and very appropriate as we go from the alumni, but what does the Eskimo way mean to you?
It used to be about class and loyalty and fair play, and I think as the business of football gets stronger as sponsors and that get pushier, it's harder to keep what I think the Eskimo way was. But I do think there's still a core of people that believe in it, that do it, that bring it every day. You don't have to be old school to do it. Some people just have that kind of character. But it's I don't think it's not a slam dunk the way it used to. I can't answer it the same way that I used to.
Sure.
Okay, that's fair. But I think your early description there is what we all feel, is that being part of the Eskimos, it's you act a certain way, you are in the community a certain way. You're exactly, yeah. That's just who you are. So that's fantastic. Now, speaking of the Eskimo way and the alumni, we'll go to a little bit of CFL news, because we didn't get to touch on this last week because it wasn't official. But of course, the CFL now has a new commissioner in Randy Ambrosi. Great hire as far as I'm concerned. Let's go for your thoughts around the table. What do you think, Linda? I'm sure you've probably met him or talked to him at some point.
Actually, no, I haven't.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm surprised.
I haven't. Big fan, though, and thrilled with the hire. I think nowhere to go but up, and he gets it.
Awesome.
I'm not saying every commissioner has to be an alumnus, but I think the time is right for one of those.
Yes, I think that helps. Superfan?
Well, I agree 100% with Linda. I think it's an absolutely outstanding hire. The fact that it is not only someone who gets the Canadian Football League, but that has been extremely successful in business. This is what the league is. It is a business, and it needs to be one that grows and develops along with the times. And he's demonstrated, even when he was a player, he was very business-minded, but he always had an eye on the product of football always interacted well with the fans and in the community. I think it's absolutely outstanding hire, and I can't wait to see what he's going to be working with the league.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. And for me, I was saying before, I just love the fact that he's kind of been in every form. He's been a player. Mm-hmm. He's been on the CFLPA. Now he's the commissioner, and he has the business sense. It's like that's the full package of knowing what to do. And I know he said over the next few weeks, he's going to be doing a lot of listening, and that's the kind of stuff you want to hear. Yes. He's going to sit, listen to each team, watch each team, look what happens in each stadium, and then work to build the CFL as a whole. And that part is the part that is just very exciting for me right now. I'm excited that he's on board, and hopefully one of these times we'll get to talk to him before too long. Yeah,
it would have been nice today, but his first day on the job or something.
So. It's like he was busy or something. Oh, come on. No. Soon. All right. Well, with all this passion for the team, I think it's only best that we travel back with Superfan as well. So it's time for this week's Eskimo History segment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on the beat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome to This Week in Eskimos History. This week we will talk about some significant Eskimo dates from July 12th to 18th. As always, looking at some Eskimo-related birthdays this week. On July 12th, Winston October, kick returner from 2001 to 2004, is 41. On July 16th, Brian Fryer, wide receiver 1978 to 85, turns 64. And more recently, on July 18th, Dion Lacey, linebacker, defensive end from 2014 to 2016, will be 27. Eskimos who have their anniversary of passing during this time. July 13th, 1985. On this date, Joe the Toe Aguirre passed away at the age of 66. Aguirre was a player-coach for the team in 1952, coaching the line on both offense and defense, as well as playing tight end on offense, defensive end, and earned his nickname Kicking Field Goals. Joe started his football career during World War II playing for the NFL's Washington Redskins before moving to the rival AAFC's Los Angeles Dons, where he played with future 1949 Eskimos Earl Elsey, Chuck Fennenbach, Andy Marifos, and Big Bill Radovich, who were four of the original 5 imports with the inaugural green and gold team. He was the leading scorer for the Eskimos for the 1952 season and was a CFL All-Star in his only year in green and gold. Looking at other important dates in the Empire, July 12, 1978. For the first time in Eskimos history, a game is postponed due to weather, as the season opener versus the visiting Stampeders is rained out due to a torrential downpour the day before. The postponement didn't dampen the Eskimo faithful, as the July 13th rescheduled game was a sellout, and they were rewarded with a 33-17 whipping of the Calgary rivals. This game was the regular season CFL debut for quarterback Warren Moon, wide receiver Brian Fryer, and offensive lineman Hector Pothier, who all went on to long and illustrious careers in green and gold. And finally, July 14th, 1994. The reigning Grey Cup champion Eskimos go to Winnipeg and lose a shooting match to the hometown Blue Bombers 50-35. What made this game unique is the play of former Eskimo and then Bomber quarterback Matt Dunnigan, who threw for an astounding 713 yards, still a CFL record. Alfred Jackson was Dunnigan's favorite target, registering 7 receptions for an eye-popping 308 yards and 4 touchdowns receiving, setting a Bomber receiving record. Lost in the Bomber victory was the play of the Eskimo offense, who scored 4 touchdowns in the second half of the game, but the game belonged to Dunnigan, whose exploits still ring to this day. Thank you again for listening to another episode of This Week in Eskimos History. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Esks History, or find us on Facebook under This Day in Esks History. Until next week, fight on, Eskimos.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
All right, right, thank you again, Superfan. That was amazing as always. Our Eskimos news this week was very short, as we just have Kendall Lawrence returning to the green and gold.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Kendall. We kind of assumed that was going to happen, but kind of neat to see him back out on the practice field there yesterday.
He was still living in town, so that definitely went in his favor, and Coach Moss really loves versatility in his players. You see a lot of the guys in the secondary that play not only safety, but also play corner and things like that, guys that are linebackers that can also drop into coverage and things like that. So having Kendall, who can play not only kick returner, but also can play running back and slot back, that just seemed to make a lot of sense.
Well, and it looks right now is that he will be the primary returner, with Trayvon Van getting the start as the starting running back. So
right.
That's not a bad combination to have a guy sitting in the wings that can do that. So hopefully he's got a breakout season to help with that.
And not a bad roommate.
Yeah.
To encourage him.
Exactly. Yeah. And teach him a few things, right? Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah. So, well, we have no game to recap this week, but I guess it's no better time then to catch up with some of the guys on the team. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, we were lucky enough to catch up with veteran Phillip Hunt and rookie Earth Kwaku right after practice yesterday. So let's go to that right now. All right. We are joined now by two of our defensive ends of course, Phillip Hunt, who is in his second year with the Eskimos. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Excellent. We're glad you are here. And of course, our brand new favorite with our hashtag, Earth Kwaku, Kwaku Boateng. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Very well. Thanks for joining us, Kwaku. I just wanted to ask you, you've now been here, of course, through training camp. It's your first pro session. How have things been since you got to Edmonton?
I think Edmonton has a great fan support here, so that definitely helps. Whenever you're down, they help you bring you back up. But I think the biggest thing is just the guys in the locker room. I know people like Phillip Hunt, Odell Willis, and Mondo and whatnot. So I look up to them any chance I get. And Coach Crayon is always there helping us get better. So I think the transition has been hard, but I think it's been easier each day just because of the locker room and the people in there.
Awesome. And Phillip, what do you think of this young guy coming in here?
Oh man, he's good, man. You know, as a defensive end, we pride ourselves of getting off the rock and getting good pass rush moves. And hey, Earthquaker, he's got it down pat. Yeah, so he's good at wanting to learn too and absorbing information. And film room, he studies well, and all around he's been a great pro.
Awesome. Now, it's your second year here. Mm-hmm. What have you found now that you've had that kind of consistency over being here, kind of halfway through last year and now starting here for this year?
I found out the same thing what my guy said, man. Right here in Edmonton, we have the best fan base in the CFL. The fans are always live. The team on the inside in the locker room is a close-knit group. The coaches... We're all close around here. We're all family, and that's the best part I like about it.
Awesome.
Wow. So I got a question for Kwaku as well. I noticed that when you're on the line, you have such a low head to the ground. Do you find that gives you an extra advantage with speed or just your first block? Like, why do you go in that position?
Funny enough, it was Phillip Hunt that showed me that.
Really?
It was a good time.
The 4-point stance is something that I never really did in university.
Yeah.
I did my 3-point stance, and I think the biggest reason why I transitioned to that, because I saw Phillip Hunt get off the ball so well in that stance, and also once I got into it, Coach Crayon said never go back to a 3-point stance. I think you get the tendency whenever you're in a 3-point stance that you can kind of change your position to kind of relax a bit in a 3-point stance, if that makes sense. Almost like a table position.
Yeah.
When you're in a 4-point stance, your body's tilted at an angle that you can only go forward. You can never fall step or go backward. You have to always go forward. So I think that at first it was a harder transition because my upper body wasn't used to having that weight on it every time, and there's a conditioning aspect to it. But once I got through that, I love that. I love that.
It's working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you taught him that?
Yeah, man. I guess this is new to me. I didn't even know that. He looks better than me anyway in his stance. So like I said, he's great at absorbing information and things like that. Just watching, man, and he just emulate what the veterans do, and that's what I'm talking about. We have a close-knit group in here that we all pay attention to one another. We all know each other's tendencies, and we learn off of each other. So that's the best thing about being around here in Edmonton, is just like the camaraderie we have as a team.
Awesome. So now, each of you, what'd you do for bye week? How was the bye week?
Oh, it was great, man. A few days off your feet. I went to Banff for a few days.
Nice.
Yeah, took in some of that amazing scenery there, and it was great, man. And other than that, I just kind of sit back and relax and got off my feet.
It's probably a good idea.
That was it.
Kwaku?
Yeah, it was my first bye week as a pro, so I didn't know how to really use it well. I think I just really hung around, got to explore Edmonton a bit, and just kind of understand and get a feel of where I'm living now. So that's pretty much what I was up to.
Awesome. For both of you guys, do you have some of your favorite spots in town here that you go to when you've got some rare time off?
Cactus Club is pretty nice.
Nice.
It was a good vibe. Some good food there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like once I get home, I'm tired. Me. I live with Jordan Hoover.
Right.
As soon as I get home, I just lay down there and we just lay down, just do nothing. So if we do have the energy, we'll probably go to Cactus Club.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Me, man. I really hasn't found that go-to thing that I do on my off days, but I mean West Edmonton Mall is great. You know, they have a lot of
got it all.
Yeah, it's got it all. So man, I go up there a lot, spend a lot of time there, but I wouldn't say it's my best pastime, but hey, it's fun.
For sure.
All right, Kwaku, we asked you all of the questions before about the rapid fire, but we've never been able to ask Phillip. So, what's your favorite music? What do you like to listen to?
I like to listen to rap. Yeah. Maybe Jeezy is probably my favorite rapper.
Nice.
All right.
Young Jeezy.
Awesome. And what do you like to? Do you have a favorite movie?
My favorite movie is The Wood.
Ooh,
yeah,
interesting.
Came out a while back.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite? Do you like to read, or is there something you like to read?
I like to read. The book I'm reading now is called Boundaries. I'm reading it with my wife. It's just a book on how to create boundaries to teach you to not go into temptations and things like that. So right now that's the book I'm on, Boundaries.
Very cool.
I like that, exactly. What do you like to eat?
What I like to eat is, man, I'm all over the board, man. I like Mexican food. I like, that's my favorite.
That's your favorite? Okay,
that's my favorite. Nachos, man. Nachos is my favorite.
Nachos. You know what? That's what we had last night. That's fantastic.
Where did y'all go to?
Oh, we were just at Mike's house watching old games. So,
I'm the best ones, man. I'm homemade nachos. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, hey, did you guys watch the games this past week when you're on bye, or do you just kind of remove yourself from football altogether?
Oh, I sit back and watch the game. You always want to keep in tune with your opponent, who's doing what. And at defensive end, we're trying to see who's getting the most sacks. So, we're keeping a close eye on that. Yeah. So, I watch the games.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, for me, again, me being a younger individual, I think I have to watch the games just so I can grasp a bit new techniques and whatnot and see what the other ends are doing. So whenever I get a chance, I just watch that purely based on just trying to improve my craft.
Do you watch the offensive line of the other teams as well?
Yeah, for example, we're playing Ottawa this week, so you definitely look at that and look at their tendencies and whatnot. Sure. But it's harder to see it through the television lens.
Yeah, different
when we go into the film room where we get both end zone view and bird's eye view. It's easier to dissect the play.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys are taking on Ottawa this week on Friday. What are you most looking forward to, and what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge?
Most looking forward to getting my first sack of the season, man. It's been a long time coming. So, I'm waiting on that, and that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's winning the game, most importantly, is winning.
All right.
So going undefeated for the first 3 games is what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as Hunt. Odell likes to joke around and say that I have the most missed sacks. So if I can finally get that sack, hopefully it'll get off my back.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, guys. We very much appreciate it, and thanks for being part of the Empire.
Thanks for having us.
That was awesome. I was so glad that we got to talk to those guys, and hopefully we will have some more players as we go forward.
Yeah, I can't certainly say enough about what the Eskimos are allowing us to do this year, and just being able to talk to both a rookie and a veteran at the same position is really enlightening, I thought.
Yeah, kind of cool to see them interact with each other. Yes. And also I want to say thanks to Morley for tweeting out that we made it on the big board. That was pretty cool. Thanks, Morley. Let's do a quick Empire points update. So Joe Balaneski is in first, Coach Vic in second, Chris Curtis in third, Joe Pritchard is tied with Chris Curtis, and then Shelley R is now rounding rounding out the top 5. So we have a new person heading into there.
Excellent.
Again, you just want to make the top 10 to get into the draw for the prize at the end of the year. And it is kind of starting to come together. Of course, highlighted by the 2010 Grey Cup helmet that we're showing in the Periscope and things like that. But we're going to get some signed pictures and things to add in there. So make sure you're gaining the Empire points, share the show, leave a review on iTunes, randomly make us laugh. And of course, both Superfan and I are giving out points. So lots of chances to get some Empire points. Let's take a really quick break. We'll be right back with our out-of-town scoreboard, the game preview, and of course, this week's CFL Pick'em.
This is David Sanchez from CFL.ca's The Waggle, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
The Eskimo Empire Podcast is brought to you this week by Allaire Homes. If you're looking for a new home build or a renovation, check out the fine work from Allaire Homes. You can find them at allairehomes.ca, at Allaire Edmonton on Twitter, and Allaire Homes on Facebook. Support them as they support us in building the Empire. Hey guys, do you know there's even more ways to interact with the Empire online?
What?
That's right, you can find us on Twitter at EskEmpirePod, on Facebook under the Eskimo Empire Podcast group, on Instagram at EskEmpirePod, and you can also follow us on YouTube under our channel, the Eskimo Empire Podcast. Now, I know you guys like that Eskimo history segment, right?
Yeah!
You can follow more of that information at Esks History on Twitter, and you can find it on This Day in Esks History on Facebook. Don't forget to share, okay?
Okay!
Thanks so much for listening. Let's get back to the show.
Patreon, patreon.com/EskEmpirePod.
Hey, shout out to our Hall of Famers, Joe, Jedi, Hippie, Brazilian Tie, and a new Hall of Famer, Bill. Thanks for helping the show out. And so what is Patreon, you ask?
Well, it's a monthly subscription to help out the show. It helps cover some of our costs in producing the show's content, things like that. You also get bonus content as the rookie and higher levels.
Awesome. And head on over, join the Patreon club. We are also, of course, tracking the Joe Fund for Adarius for Autism, which stays the same this week due to bye week, but he did tell me that it wasn't 50 cents per touchdown, it's $1 per touchdown. So
nice.
He's at an even $14 right now.
Fantastic.
Brazilian Ty has already said that he's going to match Joe's contribution.
Oh, so
and
that's
we
outstanding.
had 2 other people on Twitter already who have said that they're going to match Joe's contribution. I think over the whole season, this is just going to be a really huge benefit for Adarius for Autism, which is awesome. He's really, really stepped up and played a part in this. I think that's so much support is great.
I think raising awareness for autism in general is always a great thing, and just having someone like Adarius show he really does care it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, what was that thing we were talking about with the Eskimo Way?
Yeah.
Adarius has it. Yeah,
The
absolutely.
character stuff.
Exactly. Well, our out-of-town scoreboard this week, of course, brought to you by SeatGiant.ca, where they have tickets for all CFL games, including this week's Esks game with the massive 50-50 available. Of course, it's starting at $82,000 to start. That's a pretty nice way to start.
That's my minimum visa payment. I would
Well,
love that.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, exactly.
To put that in perspective, when we had our big 350,000, 340,000.
Yeah.
That started off at 73,000. This is 9,000 more.
Yeah.
We could see some astronomical numbers here. So
Yes, it really could go crazy. So get your tickets.
Get them early.
Jump on to SeatGiant.ca. Use the code
Fire trucker.
and get a discount. And of course, everything there is in Canadian dollars, and it's another way to help the show. So thank you very much for that. All right, Superfan, let's go through our scores.
So this week we started off with the BC-Montreal game. This was BC 23, Montreal 16. Solomon Elimimian had a great game.
Oh, to say the least, yeah.
Just one shy of tying the CFL record for most tackles in a game.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? This wasn't a huge high-scoring game.
No.
But there were some great plays on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and really good plays on defense. So if you like defensive games, this was a great one.
Absolutely.
Next up, we had the Calgary 29 at Winnipeg 10.
Ooh, no, I assume that one would be a touch closer.
Yeah.
But, that it was an interception fest.
Yeah, again, I thought it may be a higher scoring game, but didn't end up be with that defensive playing.
Not so much.
Next up, there was the Toronto 26, Ottawa 25. Karras had that missed extra point at the end there, which cost Ottawa the tie. And I think everyone is going to remember this game as that's the game that Ricky got his 300th touchdown pass.
Absolutely. And I don't know, did you guys see the graphic that the Argos put out that had all of the different jerseys and numbers of all the guys that he threw either two or more touchdown passes to? That was amazing and not shocking at all who was number one on that list.
Exactly.
Jason Tucker. Yeah.
That corner route was a beautiful thing.
Nothing better than those two, right? Yeah. So congratulations to Ricky.
And then the last game, of course, this is in our big marathon of watching games, was the Saskatchewan 37, Hamilton 20. Tough game for Tiger Cat fans for sure.
There's a lot more meow and not enough roar going on there. That offensive line looks like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big issue this year.
I thought that big run back would be the turning point, and all it was just something on the radar.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, no real
How you couldn't turn that into a winner, I don't know.
Momentum, yeah.
Yeah, well, and Saskatchewan was really feeding off that crowd this time, and we've said they've played well in the last couple of weeks. I just think Hamilton isn't exactly what we expected they would be this year.
Well, I don't think so, and I don't think the referees think so either right now.
Probably not. No, we should probably touch on that. The Will Hill grabbing the ref. What do you guys think? I mean, obviously, this is Ambrosie's first thing he's going to have to tackle. Is what's going to go, or maybe mercy. I did on purpose.
No mercy.
No mercy. So, what do you? I think a suspension definitely is going to happen.
Yes.
There's a big debate right now on how long that suspension should be.
Well, how long can it be? The CFLPA may have mandated what the maximum penalty can be.
Absolutely. That might be part of it. But what sends the right message?
That's hard. I mean, we're talking about a team where the coach hit a referee last year.
Exactly. And got suspended for one game.
He got suspended for one game where he couldn't actually be on the sidelines.
Right.
But he could still be in the booth.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if you're going to be able to allow them to suspend them for more than a couple of games at most. If you can, I mean, you've got to go for 2 games, I think.
That's what I'm thinking. That's Linda, what do you think?
2 works for me. I'm seeing people putting 6 and such out there. That's just not going to happen, and I'm sure the agreement wouldn't allow it either.
Well, and I saw one
2 I could live with.
Yeah, I saw one person put on 2 that, and this was a great kind of way to look at it. If you gave a 2-game or a 6-game suspension in the CFL is like an 18-game suspension in the NHL. Like that's
it's a third of the season.
I mean, yes, I agree. It's a ref, and you're in you're in a position where you're in pads and the ref is not. Definitely has to be some punishment. I was going with 2.
I think it's almost like a 26, 27 game suspension in the NHL. I mean, you're talking a third of your season.
Yeah,
and to lose a third of your game checks, that's you're not getting paid a lot of money to begin with. But
I think with the coach making the hit last year, they got it wrong last year.
Yes.
They can do better this year.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to look at it. Absolutely.
By the time this goes out, maybe they'll have already made that decision, and we'll be right or wrong.
And then exactly. And then everyone will say, "Wow, they were amazing," or dummies. One other CFL note that kind of took me a little bit by surprise today was AJ Jefferson announcing on Twitter that he was released from the Red Blacks.
Yeah, he was told apparently they wanted to go younger at the position. He's 29.
Yeah. And he's had such a history of being a good corner. Like, I mean, was Ottawa burned that badly on the corners? Or was it up the middle?
I didn't think so. I think it might be a cap casualty as well. I mean, he's probably getting paid good money. Again, he was a solid player and a guy I thought we should have gone after in the offseason. I've heard a lot of people asking, should we go for him? I think we've got some good players right now. We've already made one corner position a non-import or national position. And then we've got Johnny Adams and Forrest Hightower, who's on the injured list right now, but in the wings.
Yeah.
I don't think having to bring somebody else in and have them go through it all is really worth it, especially at the dollar value he's going to command.
Yeah, I totally agree. But, of course, we wish him all the best for sure. All right, let's get into our game coming this week, our game preview. We are, of course, taking on the 0-2-1 Red Blacks. They're in on Friday night. Of course, make sure you join us for the tailgate, as always. Before game, we should be setting up sometime around 5:30-ish, being that the game is at 8. Burgers and hot dogs there, as usual.
Yeah, we'll have the right outside gate 6. Just come on down, grab a smoky or a hot dog, a burger, have a laugh, talk some football, just hang out and enjoy the fact that we finally have tailgating at Edmonton.
Absolutely, yes. All right, so keys to the game for this one. So, Linda, let's start with you this time. What are the keys for the Eskimos in this game as they go up against the Red Blacks?
Well, run.
Run hard, run
they
silent.
They won't be expecting it. They'll think we don't really have it all figured out yet, so I just say pound it.
All right, I can totally get behind that.
I am never going to argue with that point. That's for sure. I think it's true. If you can show balance on that offense, they're expecting with our 4 big import receivers that we're just going to air it out and everything else. With John White being injured, if we can show that we're willing to commit to that run game and force them to have to respect that run, I think that's going to really help on our offense. On special teams, though, with Kendall coming back, I'd like to see us get some sort of positive yards so we're not always in the shadow of our goalposts.
Preferably.
If he can help out there and hold on to the ball, I think that's going to do a great thing for our offense to not be starting in a deficit.
Great. Absolutely, 100% agree. I think the biggest challenge for us in this game is going to be in that secondary. How is that secondary going to be able to control or at least limit Ellingson, Sinopoli, and Deontay Spencer? They obviously are having great years with Trevor Harris. I think it really comes down to putting some pressure on Trevor Harris. We saw in the Argo game when there was that pressure coming on Harris, he did connect a lot of passes still, but there wasn't near as damaging in that second half. And of course, we learned from the Argos, stay away from the penalties.
Yes.
And the game will be a lot more exciting. So I think those are definitely keys for us. Who do you want to watch closest in this game, Linda? Who's the player that you're kind of keeping your eye on?
Well, I just like watching linemen, right?
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
A lot of other listeners that would agree wholeheartedly with you on that.
Exactly. Are you watching just for beards? Or are you watching because they like to move people around? Or I just have to ask.
Just where they're making the holes, where they're making the blocks. I mean, that's where I pay attention. As I said, I've never really been a quarterback person or even a receiver person, so I just watch what they do on the line.
Okay, awesome.
They say the game is won and lost in the trenches, right? So both sides of the line are going to be key. I'm going to watch Trayvon Van. He is replacing John White as the starter at running back, and I'd like to see him. He had a weak start to his game when he replaced White. He did improve as the game went on, and I'd like to see him continue that improvement and show that he belongs as the starting running back.
Awesome. I am going to continue my theme of secondary and keep my eye on Johnny Adams and Brandon Thompson. I think those two are going to play a major role in shutting down the guys that we just talked about. Yes. So I think that's a key focus in this game is if you can limit that Ottawa offense, I think we have a good chance to pull out the win.
I'll also say I'm also watching Konar. I've been watching him all along.
Yeah, he's Konar the Barbarian. Yeah, we gotta watch out and see how he does. He's got. I hope he has a better, because 2 weeks ago in BC, 3 weeks ago in BC, he had an amazing game, and then against Montreal, it was like he was kind of silent. So hopefully that is a bounce back this game too.
Looking for some consistency there.
Yes,
absolutely.
And stay healthy.
Yeah, preferably. Well, his name's not John. He should be all right.
That's true.
Let's get into our pick'em then with the rest of the games. Of course, you can join the group with the link that we post. Leaders this week are Hugo Agogo, who is up into 20th in the entire nation.
Way to go, Jerry.
Man, well done. Holy cow. Cappy D is in second, TXA Trevor in third, Barry Titus up to fourth, and Tupelo Steve into fifth. Well done, guys. Keep it going. So the first game this week, we're going to start with you, Superfan, this time. It's Toronto versus Winnipeg in the Peg. Winnipeg.
Yeah, I've picked Toronto the last 3 weeks, and 2 out of the 3 they've done well for me. So Toronto gave me my only loss in those first couple of weeks there, but this week I am going with Winnipeg. I think that they played better than the score showed in the last game, and I think that they're going to definitely try to impose their will on that Toronto team.
All right, Linda.
Ditto.
All right.
Winnipeg.
I'm picking Toronto this week.
Okay.
And I'm picking...
Winnipeg it is.
Exactly. So Winnipeg wins. So you're welcome, both of you. I'm picking Toronto only because I believe that front four pressure is unreal. And Butler is putting on a clinic this year on how to come at the quarterback. And if Nichols is getting pressure like that, I can't imagine that it goes the right way for the Bombers. I think it'll be close. I don't think it's way out there, but I think we're going to see another SJ Green show, and it comes down to how many points can Ricky put on the board. So I'm going to say Toronto all day. All right, next game, Calgary versus Montreal in the first of the doubleheaders on Friday.
Yeah.
This one, of course, in Montreal. Linda, who do you got in that game?
I have Calgary.
Yeah.
It hurts, but I do.
It's about right. We say that regularly.
Yes.
I also picked the Stampeders in this game. I think that their offense is going to go to work and probably get a few more points. And I can't imagine Montreal scoring a whole bunch more points when you watch the last couple of weeks of where they've played. So I got Calgary in this one.
For me, it hurts too much to say that I'm picking Calgary, so I'm going to pick not Montreal.
Okay. Well played.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Well played. Okay.
Made a note of that.
I still feel dirty. And not in a good way.
Not in a good... Exactly. Next game, we're going to skip our game. We'll come back to it in a minute. But on the Saturday night, BC versus Hamilton in the Hammer. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all just say this at the same time, right? 1, 2, 3.
Lions.
BC.
Yeah.
Battle
of the Kitties. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Pussy Cat Bowl, and so I think that BC takes this one quite handily. All right, last game, of course, our game, Ottawa versus the Double E here on Friday night. Superfan, who
get to start with me, hey?
Well, that's I went in order each time. I was
no, you know what? This one, Ottawa is definitely angry that they haven't got it in the win column yet. But I fully believe with that extra week off, the coaches have got a plan ready for Ottawa, and we will be taking this one by at least 7.
All right. Linda.
Same thing again.
I see. We're in sync.
This is not going to be Ottawa's week. They can have another week.
Yeah. I'm picking the Eskimos.
No,
I thought, I couldn't
faked us out.
I couldn't bring myself to do that. But yes, I am going to pick the Eskimos to win this one.
I also have a Saskatchewan pick for this week. I pick Saskatchewan to lose in the bye.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, if anyone can do it.
Now, you can also join our CFL Fantasy as well. Linda, are you playing Fantasy?
I do not do fantasy. Well, not football.
Right.
Actually, yeah. No, I don't have a team.
Just a few players, not a full team.
There is some fantasy. It's just a little different. Okay. Once again, last week I picked Messam, and he's a pilot. So I won't pick him this week. So expect Messam to have a 200-yard game. I suspect everyone pick him because I will not be. Superfan, you're up 3 points on me in that league.
Oh, look at me go.
Oh, I tell you, it's getting close. Leader still is N. Hodge. Travis Curra from 2 and out moved up into second, and Zap U2 is in third. So join us there in the Eskimo Empire Pod League, or of course the Canadian Football Podcast Network League, go where you can play against all of your favorite podcasters. We have reached the end of our night. Thank you so much for coming in, Linda, and sharing your stories and being part of the show. We very much appreciate it. And, of course, bringing all those wonderful things for the Periscope. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go back and check out some of the amazing things from your dad's time playing all the way back in the 30s. Just amazing to have that stuff down here. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. And now, where does people find you on Twitter Twitter if you so wish to be found.
At Lou42 Enterprise, LUE42 Enterprise.
I was not shocked that the 42 was in there. That's good.
And if you know what the LUE stands for, it makes even more sense.
Oh, yeah.
Life, the universe, and everything.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
The answer to life news for that is 42.
Yeah, perfect. Superfan.
You can find me at 56 Parkies, and then, of course, the Eskimos history at Esks history.
Perfect. And you can find us at Esk Empire Pod and me at Freepalicious. Thanks again for downloading, as without you, there is no Empire. Thanks again to Allaire Homes for sponsoring this episode. Follow them at Allaire Edmonton on Twitter. Visit their website, allairehomes.ca, or, of course, on Facebook under Allaire Homes. Please continue to share that link as they are helping us to build the Empire. The show is back next week, and we will have a return of the Fire Trucker Jedi in the Turf District. So, are we all glad the bye week is over? Absolutely. Is it time for our next man up depth to shine? Absolutely. And are we excited to watch the Esks go to 3-0 this Friday? Absolutely. For Linda and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.